I've been in tech for a decade, both as an engineer and a frontline sales rep, working for both Fortune 1000 and small 100-person startup companies in Austin, Texas, in the tech scene. And I've also sold to tons of different startups and also Fortune 500 enterprise. And today, I wanted to break down for technical founders that are just getting their company going or maybe trying to scale out their go-to-market sales motion. These are some of the most common mistakes that I see technical founders make when they're really trying to get started. I would also add, not only is this coming from a perspective of I have been on the front lines in sales, but I was formerly an engineer, and the first 6 to 12 months I was in sales, I kind of sucked. But the beauty you have as a technical founder is that, no doubt, if you're building a complex product, you are very smart. My hope is that with some of these reframes, with some of these simple cues, you can actually very rapidly get to 60 to 80% of the effectiveness of a sales rep that you would ultimately hire in the future yourself. So I'm going to break this down in a couple of different levels, one at the company level, but also then to you as an individual founder who is just doing sales for the first time. This brings me to my first point, which kind of captures both the company and the individual level. Just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid on this idea that you are going to raise funding and then hire a salesperson to figure it out. If you are a founder, if you are early stages here, you are not going to be able to outsource sales if you haven't done it yourself. Now, I don't want you to become a full-time sales rep. I don't want you to spend ideally more than 6 to 12 months in a direct sales capacity as a founder of the company. But if you can't figure out the most common trends and patterns amongst your prospects, if you can't consistently bring a customer into your door, 3 to 5 customers within the span of the first 6 to 12 months of your company, good luck going out and hiring anyone who's going to be able to do that better than you. I see a lot of people right now, AI is huge, no question. It's absolutely disruptive. It will be the future and the standard going forward. But as a very simple example, if you're, like an AI data lake, and you think that just going and hiring 1 or 2 of the best reps from Snowflake is going to solve your problem, 1, it won't. But 2, the same playbooks that they're running at Snowflake as the market leader, as the #1 data lake company in the world, are not going to work at your 5-person startup that is an AI data lake. I'm going to break that point down in much further detail, but my point is, if you cannot slog it out and figure out how to sell 3 to 5 to 10 customers early on, you're not even going to know what to look for, even if you hired someone in the first place. And the only thing worse than figuring this out for 6 to 12 months yourself and struggling through that, which then on the backside, you actually have the ability to hire correctly. You actually have the ability to then know at least a little bit about a sales cycle. If you don't do that, the only thing that's worse is hiring someone, firing them after 8 months, starting completely at zero 8 months later when you could have started that timer right now today. So my point being is your job is not to be a sales rep, but if you can't close a single customer, ideally 5, you are not going to be able to hire your way to a great salesperson. So now I want to break down to the founder that's very early right now. You've finally compartmentalized and stopped procrastinating on sales. You understand that this is something you need to do yourself. The good news is that when packaged correctly, you actually have the ability as a founder to come across very different in your messaging compared to the average sales rep. But where I see oftentimes a lot of founders make the next mistake is when they're reaching out, they don't commit to very calculated guesses on 1 or 2 channels. You're like, okay, I finally have to do sales. How do I set up cold calling? How do I set up emailing? How many LinkedIn messages should I send a day? Whoa, let's back up. You're a founder. Ideally, you actually started a company that first and foremost has a good product. We're not selling dog shit here. But now that that's in place, you have extreme credibility as a founder that more than likely knows the type of problem and type of persona that you appeal to more than the average person. And so my point here is I would play to your strength. Don't worry about if you've never made a cold call, trying to learn how to cold call. I don't really think there's that much value. Yes, if you're venture funded, if you have a network, if you are getting warm introductions, you're definitely going to want to understand how to make those phone calls. But if you're just trying to think hey, let me pull a list of 1,000 people and just make 1,000 cold calls, you might as well just burn a week of time and just take a vacation. We have worked directly with founders where we can actually come in as a very consultative expert, especially in the AI front right now. One of the themes that I'm seeing in the middle of 2025 that works extremely well if you're an AI founder is coming in and saying, hey, I've created AI agents specifically for these use cases in this industry. One example of many founders that we're working with is we had someone who previously ran an e-commerce business. They then went on to develop AI agents specifically for e-commerce businesses. And in our outreach, we're not reaching out as a sales rep trying to sell them. We're saying, hey, we're a founder of this company that has already created agents that are solving problems specifically for e-commerce businesses, doing these major prominent use cases for e-commerce companies. Yes, the vision of the company is much more broad. Yes, we want to get well beyond just e-commerce companies, but you as a founder should pick one channel. If you're a great writer or you have an introduction through your previous corporate life, or you worked at a different tech company and you can get introductions that way, double and triple down on that. You don't need to learn how to cold call. You don't need to learn how to do every single possible sales tactic in the book. Try and pick something that gives you the highest likelihood of success that you could wake up and at least feel motivated to try. Because last thing on this point specifically is I just see so many founders that have this vision that they're going to learn how to cold call and be able to, take no prisoners. And you're going to spend 3 months trying to do that, when actually if you spent a focused 2 weeks sending really highly curated emails to, 200 people, handmade, manually crafted emails that are really, really dialed in, you would get way more results than spinning your wheels for 3 months and cold calling 10,000 people. The next point that I have is kind of touching on what I've already alluded to, and it's really about defining the personas and the problems they are experiencing versus what your product can do. What you can do does not matter. If you're the AI for data lakes, you're the AI for CI/CD, who knows what else it might be, right? That's great. But ideally, you actually created that because you're solving a problem that is very painful and cumbersome right now. And this trickles down to all mediums of communication, by the way. But whether it's email, whether it's you have someone on the phone, whether a prospect is interested in what you're doing and you have a 30-minute meeting set up with them, you come to the call and you're prepared to try and say, hey, well, here's what we do. We're actually using AI to do X, Y, and Z compared to the traditional, like, oh, look at what Harness does for CI/CD. Look at what Snowflake does for data lakes. We do that, but we sprinkle in AI. And meanwhile, your prospect is sitting there and being like, dude, maybe you do that, but do you understand that we spend $10 million with Snowflake every single year? We are doing all of these different use cases. And even if you do what you say you can do, it's going to be 3 years before we even realize the potential gains that you're promising here. And so my point being is not to discourage you. It's you need to find prospects and personas that understand the problem that you solve and are actually experiencing it. And when you come to calls, it has nothing to do with about what you sell. It has nothing to do with about what you're building unless, first and foremost, you actually ask them about what they do today, what problems they're experiencing. How are they using this? Are they aware of all of these different things? How are they thinking about leveraging AI in their tech stack going forward? And so my broader point being is I just see so many founders that want to get on a conversation. They ask 2 or 3 questions to the prospect, and then the remaining 22 minutes of the call, they sit there and they just talk about their product like I give a shit. And in fact, especially for almost all of your first call engagements, your first call with someone for 30 minutes, if you sat there for the entire 30 minutes and asked questions, and on the last 2 minutes gave like a quick elevator pitch about what you did, 100% of those times, those calls will go better than whatever you have in your mind and this fake idea that you have to sell your features and convince someone to use your product. Side note on that point, by the way, as we transition to the next one, I do have a lot of videos on this channel that talk about how to run a discovery call. That's the common name for if you set up a call with someone for the first time and you're going to have a 30-minute phone call to talk about your product, what they do. That is commonly referred to as a discovery call. So if you want to learn how to actually structure that, there's videos on the channel about that. Nonetheless, I could make a 10-hour video about this. I want to get to a couple more points, and I could talk a lot about how to even build repeatable structures, get prospects consistently showing up to your calls in the first place, et cetera, et cetera. But this transitions well into my next point, which is so many founders right now, especially with the hype of automation, there's tools like Clay, there's tools like Outreach, Apollo, all of these different things that, allow you to send emails automatically, send it to tens of thousands of people. If you fundamentally do not understand how to craft a good message, scaling that is like putting a turbo on a Honda Civic and racing in the Indy 500. I hate to use such a simple saying, but you can't polish a turd, right? And if you don't understand how to write a consistently good message, which again goes back to one of my earlier points, you as a founder, the best thing you can do is probably send 200 handcrafted messages to your personas, see how they even react to those in the first place. And now, and only then, if you're getting results, do you then look to scale that up with automation. But don't think if you've never sent a cold email before, you've never sent a message, if you're just going to log in, create a Clay account and say, I sell to SREs, and then blast out 10,000 messages to every SRE in the United States, you're wasting your time. But again, you guys are smart. You're technical founders. And my point in all of this is not to discourage you or make this sound really challenging. But like many things in life and like many things you know as a technical founder, whether you're learning a new language, you're trying to implement a new AI feature, that upfront, that first week or two, you're really in that problem, it sucks and it feels like you're barely getting there. But I promise you, if you put actually the time and attention and slow down just a bit to understand these things, to actually put in the work to send a few custom messages and see what responses you get, then fast forward 3 to 4 weeks or 1 to 2 months, and you're going to be 80% at the capacity of a full-time sales rep with 5 to 10 years of experience. But I haven't met a single founder yet that has gone to Clay first, that doesn't know how to actually write a good sales email, a good introduction email. They just haven't, no one has solved that problem by just slapping automation and sending it to even more people. 2 more points here, and like I said, I'm happy to make more. I monitor the comments myself, so if you have other topics you want me to talk about, feel free to comment below. And just so you know, in the description too, I do work with founders through our website. There's more information there. But the last 2 that I see that are very common as well, and it's okay, this next point is okay that you haven't put a lot of thought into this, but I see a lot of founders, when you first get started, you've got a lot of momentum, you're super excited, and consistently getting people to agree to a meeting is like the biggest blocker in your mind. And what happens is you spend about 2 to 3 months on that, and then someone finally agrees to show up, and you haven't put any thought into how to run that call, right? And I think that's okay, right? Because you do have to solve the problem first and foremost of what happens when I actually get someone to show up. But it's not even about how to run that first call. As I mentioned, that's commonly referred to as a discovery call. There's lots of information on this channel of how to run that. But I'll see people that actually, now they have a good first discovery call where they've talked for 30 minutes with someone and they have no idea how to run a deal cycle. Like, you want a trial? Sure, I'll give you a trial. What else do you need? Like, and now you're just kind of making it up as you go. You have no structure in place. And this prospect understands immediately that they can get whatever they want out of you, and or they don't take you seriously because you don't actually have a structured process to guide them through along the buying journey. Again, I don't want to make this sound like the Da Vinci Code. It's actually not that complicated. You just haven't experienced it yet, right? I would compare this similarly to an athlete that, you know, maybe grew up playing pickup football in the backyard, but now they have to learn lifting. You see people lifting. It seems easy enough, but when you actually get into it, there's a structured form. There's a lot of things and technique that can actually go to that to improve your results. And I very much think about that like a sales cycle. It's not like this is some science. It's not like this is some overly complicated thing, but a lot of founders are procrastinating on this. They're just like, I don't really want to do sales. I just want to outsource it as fast as possible. And actually, if you sat down and really defined these things and just understood what a basic flow looked like, you would very, very rapidly start to make progress. And lastly, on this note, I think the biggest thing that I see, especially for first-time founders, second time, third time, maybe it's a little bit different. A lot of first-time founders, and I get this, by the way, I totally empathize. Like, you got a big chip on your shoulder, you're the next Elon Musk, you're going to take on the world. I get that, and I'm here for you. That being said, like, a lot of people think, okay, I've got a product, and now how do I get in touch with Verizon? How do I get in touch with JP Morgan? How do I get in touch with Best Buy? And the only thought that you have behind wanting to land a huge customer is pretty much when I actually talk to someone and when I actually sit there for 20 minutes and walk them down their thought process, it's more or less to look impressive. That could be for venture capitalists. That could be for mom and dad at Thanksgiving break. So you can tell everybody your little tech company has a deal in pipeline with Verizon. In almost 80+% of cases, the message here is not, do not go after enterprise companies. But as an example, if you actually landed a $3 million deal with Morgan Stanley, let's take that as an example. You're going to spend 18 to 24 months even getting that deal over the line. And once you do that, your entire company's existence is going to be dependent upon Morgan Stanley's success with your product. So all the while, that 2 years where you didn't even have revenue because you were chasing this deal with Morgan Stanley, you could have landed a bunch of small customers. Yeah, some of them are going to churn, But at the same time, instead of having one customer that pays you $3 million, you could have 50 customers that pay you 50 grand each. Sure, 10% of them are going to attrit within a year, but you're going to get a lot of at-bats with the product. You're going to understand better gaps with your product, be able to make it more enterprise ready in the first place. You're then hopefully smart enough to, amongst the 50 smaller customers that you attract during the first 2 years or so of your business, you get some case studies. You actually have marketing and sales collateral. And now maybe you build a brand on LinkedIn, maybe just through word of mouth, your product is growing very quickly. There's many different ways you can grow your product and brand awareness. But now instead of spending 2 years hoping that you get that enterprise customer, that deal may or may not happen after 2 years. And if it does, now you have to support them and that's your entire existence. Or if it doesn't, you're basically at zero after 2 years of work. Now, instead, you've got companies and you've got enough brand and groundswell that maybe these enterprise companies come in organically to you. And that's the takeaway here for any of you that want to support enterprise customers. Again, this is not a one-size-fits-all answer, but for 80+% of you right now, especially if you're very early on, you are so much better served getting started with small customers and going after that market because they're more flexible, they're more agile, they're more willing to take calculated bets on newer technology that could rapidly progress their brand. And then of those 50 customers that you get 5 case studies, you get testimonials, you get directors, VPs, CEOs actually giving you quotes and saying, yes, this product helped my business and helped me solve this challenge. Now you're going to start to see a year or 2 or 3 years in, bigger mid-market enterprise companies come knocking at your door because they're starting to see a lot of the groundswell that will naturally happen as your product penetrates the small and mid-size market segments. So again, guys, I know we are coming up maybe on 20 minutes here already. I monitor these comments myself, so if you have other points I can explore with you, make a follow-up video like a part 2, I'm more than happy to do that. And just calling out as well, if you guys want to work with me and my team directly, there is information in the description at higherlevels.com. We work directly with founders through our founder-led sales academy and also through custom engagements, both of which are linked in the description. But nonetheless, I hope this helps, guys. Again, I'm a former engineer that transitioned to sales. So if nothing else, this is just the video I wish I had when I transitioned to sales anyway. And again, I just want to leave you guys with, you are smart. You are very smart as a technical founder. This is not the Da Vinci Code, but it's a different, you can't IQ your way. You can't brute force your way. You can't think your way to the solution here. You've got to get out there. You're going to fail, no doubt, but hopefully walking you through some of those things makes you avoid some really dumb mistakes that feel like progress for 6 to 12 months when actually you're not making any. And hopefully within a month or 2 of seeing this video, you can actually take this, implement this, and actually make some genuine progress as opposed to like having one conversation with AT&T and thinking that that means anything. So nonetheless, guys, hope that helped, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks.